Can I vote for what will be America's #1 public play?
Go ahead. Tell us.
Houston, Texas.
I know exactly, and that's why I guess I'll just go with the Arizona Cardinals +4.
It's a good pick. I like the pick.
Yeah,
Nice
and in
pick.
fact, they might win.
White Steve.
Macon.
Hello.
What's up, Steve?
Fellas, how are we?
Oh, we're good. We're good. Just got off the plane from Philly, you know?
We got any heat in the studio?
It is actually chilly.
I don't get what people's thing is with
Do you
wearing
ever have
beanies.
a day where you're not cold or sick?
Him? No.
No, I'm always cold.
Okay.
And I'm usually
Just-
sick.
That's good observation by me.
It is.
I'm pro beanie indoors. A lot of people comment and
Notice
say,
that.
what is it, cold in there? I'm like, well, I mean, try having your hair on camera every day. It's not always going to look good.
Yeah.
It's not set it and forget it lettuce. I don't have Evan Washburn lettuce.
Oof. Could have used some of that lettuce in Buffalo.
The middle of November, and the air is at about 66 upstairs.
Okay, it's 66 upstairs. You know what it is in the fucking inside the NFL studio? 54.
Wow.
Okay, I haven't gone back to the negotiating tables. I don't know if they're going to ask me back next year. But I just want to say this. If anybody's listening from inside the NFL, that's going to be item 1 on the contract is I need at least 66 degrees. I'm out there freezing my ass off.
You don't sweat underneath your armpits anymore, so you'll be fine.
That's a
you can't
good
sweat
thing.
on TV.
Yeah, you can't sweat on TV when you got Botox on your underarms.
There you go.
All right, so guys, a lot to talk about. Bills and Broncos. Guys, what's the first thing that comes to mind walking away from that game?
I can't believe they lost that game.
Oh, I believe it. Macon?
Bill's bad.
Bill's probably bad. Do you remember like 2 months ago after the Jets loss, we were in here and you were like, I was like, I could order the AFC East. Do you remember what I said?
Yeah. Not Bills first. Where
Bill's last. And you said, you sure?
New England?
Well, I'm wrong.
Okay.
Okay, they're going to be third.
That's right.
Okay. Here's the deal, dude. I don't want to overcomplicate this thing. Ken Dorsey got axed today.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen is the reason they're losing these games. And, Steve, you've been on it from the beginning of the season. And Josh Allen, whatever adjective you want to put before the word quarterback with him, for a while you could say elite. Now it's erratic. Now it's self-destructive. Now what is it?
Impatient. He can't. He doesn't have any patience. You talk to people that have played against him. You've seen kind of similar game plans as long as teams are comfortable doing it, Chris. But just making him take the checkdowns and the short throws all the way down the field, he won't do it. He won't do it. I go back to the first playoff struggles, and then you think about the game they lost to Kansas City. Freewheeling, fun and gun, the whole thing. That's his element. But when the Bengals, I even did it to Mahomes the next week, where they just said, all right, we're going to keep everything in front, no matter what. And we have the personnel to create pressure with minimal guys. And that combination, I think, has proved to be the factor in these turnovers. It goes back to being impatient. Take what's given to you, and it looks like he refuses to do that on a consistent basis. And whether it's the three, keep making him get in third down situations where there's doubt now to run it. And then last night back against the wall, they need 7. They go down, they get it. The pressure's on. You see him thrive in that moment, but over the course of a game, where the possessions are minimalized because the other team possessing the ball and frustrating him in another standpoint where he's just looking at the clock run down. I just think teams have said, we're going to try and make you be patient, and he hasn't proved he could be it.
Well, okay, time possession, Denver dominated that. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the turnovers are bad. And it's not just the turnovers, it's where they're happening. It's Cincinnati backed up. Fuck it, let me chuck the ball into coverage that I know well. Last night, backed up. Let me chuck the ball into cover 2. It's like I don't even know what he's thinking on some of these, and a lot of the turnovers they deal with are really mindless turnovers, like the James Cook fumbled exchange. It was like last night. I'm not saying obviously it's not the case because I just think it's a case, but it's like he owes somebody money on some of these, dude. I'm not like that. He's not throwing the game. No. But some of these mistakes, you're like, dude, these are the types of – this is like Headache Smith at Arizona State type stuff. You know, like the fumbled exchange after they bench James Cook in the beginning of the game for fumbling a football. They have a players-only meeting. They come out, they fumble the ball as if you need another wake-up call. James Cook does.
Yeah.
Then he throws the ball to Singleton. Singleton, if he was mildly – a little bit more athletic, he might get 2 feet down. Okay, there's one pick that could be. The next one, it's a bullet. I don't put that on him. But the one later in the game, it's like, what are we doing? And then to fumble, and then James Cook, too.
Dribbled it down the field.
Dribbling the ball down the field. Simmons takes it off him. It's like you've been warned. You had a players-only meeting. Josh, how many of these do you have to do before you're like, maybe I shouldn't do these anymore? And I know he feels bad after he does it. I don't think, if he were a serial killer, he'd be the type that would feel really bad after he did it. Mm-hmm. You know, he wouldn't be the type that's just like, this is what I do. I kill people. Like, what was that TV show? The guy that looked like you?
Dexter.
No, we're talking about Steve Carell and my man.
We forgot the name of the show already. It was a good show.
Domhnall Gleeson.
Domhnall Gleeson. What's the? He wouldn't want to be. He would be. He just feels bad on the sideline. You can see him.
The patient.
I mean, he knows he's doing something wrong. He knows he made a boo-boo, but he just keeps making boo-boos.
And then you factor in, like, that's why I say, Chris, being there, you could just feel the whole thing. It was like, all right, we got to – the whole stadium, shout out to them too, the latest arriving people to the stadium, because that's how much they love tailgating. That was very noticeable being on the field pregame, and it's awesome. But – you're in there, they're getting the ball to start the game. The whole place is ready to go. Let's go down and go up 7-0 for once. Haven't covered a game in 5 games. In the first play, he makes the right play. He throws it to Cook. Cook gets ripped out. And the whole mood of the place is, here we go again.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, one play. And I give them credit. They battled all the way back. The horrible interception before the half where they got another field goal, and then instead of being down 3 or possibly tied if you don't turn it over, you're down 6, or I think it was down 7. Just as bad of a start, and they just can't get over the hump with not making turnovers and playing clean football. Like they don't play clean football. You can't win.
I want to say one thing about Patrick Surtain getting his flowers last night, maybe just based on reputation, because I don't even think Josh really gave Stephon many chances. He was just looking at the other half of the field.
He was, because I was waiting. I had the prop on it was the last leg of one of my parlays that hit last night was Justin Simmons over tackles, and he wasn't getting any work for like most of the game.
No.
So, yeah, I mean, he's a great player. And
Josh on pace for 81 carries this year. Last year was 124. Year before that was 122. We've talked about that ad nauseum, but maybe that's what it takes to shake it loose.
When you look at a lot of these great drives that they've had over the years, whether they're game-tying, game-winning drives, go back, look at the play-by-play. You can see Josh Allen for 7 in a key situation. Josh Allen down the goal line late last night getting to the pylon. But you know what those 2 drives had in common? Run game, chunks on the ground. I hate to oversimplify it, but you got dominated in time of possession. How many yards per carry do you think the Denver Broncos went for last night? Without looking.
Denver?
It feels like 7, right?
Denver
Broncos.
Or?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't otherworldly. They just stuck to it. And I know they're playing a different game plan. But with Josh, they were the more efficient running team. They had more chunk yardage on the ground. They had more explosives, feeding James Cook, feeding Murray. Their best drive was the one that tied it at 15 after the fumble on the sideline, where they went tempo. They handed the ball to Cook 3 times in a row, and then they gave it to Latavius Murray, the 4th play, and they went tempo. I feel like with you made a great point. Josh likes to go fast. He's impatient. They want to go. Okay, but that's dangerous when you go long spells with 3 and out, and they're rushing 3 on third down, and Josh is just sitting back there. He doesn't know where to go with the ball. But the problem is, if you go tempo and you don't have a run game, you're going to play yourself out of games because of this. So, in my opinion, you're back doing the 11 personnel stuff. It suits what you are, right? Like you want to put a lot on Josh, but you have to run the ball. You can go tempo, run the ball, satisfy your urge to go fast, but have a physicality about you. Because if you'd have watched that game and you weren't paying close attention, you said, oh, Denver ran the ball. They did, but not really as well as Buffalo did. Buffalo just went away from it.
Yeah, that drive was 7 plays, 54 yards, 3 minutes. And only 1 third down was 3rd and short, and Latavius picked it up.
And they had more rushing first downs last night, the whole thing. And I will say this. When it comes to Sean McDermott, because we're going to talk about Dorsey now, I think, but Sean McDermott has to bear some of this blame when it comes to last night, because they made a lot of mistakes on special teams. I'll get to that in a second. But on defense, you heat them up the play before you get the PI. You don't go back to it again. He went back to it again. They get the PI. It's just a bad situation to be in.
Play before, Russell's drop of 6 inches was something to behold.
It was crazy. He didn't even drop back. He didn't even drop
back.
But Sean McDermott, these are one-score games, okay? Mm-hmm. Ultimately, it comes down to the head man, and maybe this is a decision he has to make, because the one thing that I think people sometimes don't think about is a coach isn't just X's and O's. So Brian Dable goes to New York, and I know it hasn't gone well down there, but he had Danny Dimes winning a fucking playoff game last year. Okay, the guy can coach. And I think more than anything, you assume Ken Dorsey and Brian Dable, it's just about comparing the X's and O's. It's also about, and this is an unknown commodity to me because I'm not in the building, how you rein Josh in and how you coach him week to week on the game situations, who you're playing, understand the situation, eliminate certain risks. There is a talking you through the scheme element of scheme. And I think like Josh seems more prone to make mistakes in this chapter of his career. And I worried about that with Dable leaving, because this is more who he is. And that's unfortunately the case. Like Josh Allen, if you had a draft and you started a team with any number of quarterbacks, I'm picking him towards the top, because his top end ability is tantalizing. Like when he's on, there's barely anybody as good. But this might be who he is more than the other guy. You know what I mean? The guy from the beginning of his career, Dable helped him cover it up, and now you've got this. But Sean McDermott has to take control of the football team, and this is a decision I guess he had to make. There's a lot of people in the analytics community, especially over the last 10 days, who have been like, hold your horses. Buffalo's still the same team offensively. They're a top 10. They got EPA. They got all this stuff, all these fucking acronyms. I get it. Like, we use this stuff. But the result is not there, because in crunch time, they're making these huge mistakes. And I think the way they're scripting games is kind of mindless. And Sean McDermott has to get control of the situation. I know you lost a lot of guys on defense, but there's no big play on defense coming every week to bail you out of making these mistakes.
Well, and that's the thing. I think they've played good enough defense the last 2 weeks to win.
Yeah.
I mean, that's at Cincinnati, and that's here against a team that you gave the ball to 4 extra times. You know, like that's we were talking last night in the second half as we're getting ready to go out for the post game, and it's, you know, Van Pelt, myself, and Ryan Clark, and, you know, we're having the conversation about Josh amongst other quarterbacks. But then I thought about the Dable thing with Ken Dorsey, and Ryan said it perfectly. I said, as a defensive guy, what do you think of the play calling? And he said, Ken Dorsey calls plays like a quarterback coach.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's it right there.
Yep.
There's no stubbornness in trying to run the football. There's no game plan. I think it's a lot to the Steelers' troubles. You know, Steelers used to come out and run duo 25 times down your throat. No matter what was going to happen, you were going to get that every game, and you had to line up against that. And now you see Canada. I know everybody makes fun of the jet sweeps, but there's no stubbornness to say we are going to do this and we're going to do it well, and we're going to keep doing it. So that's
you got to watch the new Steelers, though. By the way, from Sunday,
no,
the new Steelers, the Matt Canada on the sideline. assistant's coach.
Dang.
Yeah, here you go.
Yeah, I mean,
Patent pending.
he can see down there. He's like, oh my God, that Najee Harris is pretty fucking big. Mm-hmm. You know, that Warren, he's got a nice spin move. The kid from Georgia, he can block. I need to run the ball.
We're mandated to say no Matt Milano, no Tre'Davious White.
No question.
Yeah.
Last night it was 26 throws, 26 runs, and 7.1 yards per play. But it doesn't matter when there are
When you
only
turn the
52
ball
plays
over.
because you gave it away 4 times.
When you turn the ball over. And in a game like that, my argument to Ken Dorsey, not that he can make an adjustment now, would be ride the run game when you're afraid that Josh is going to make those mistakes. And I know you can't run the ball every play, but you were running it efficiently. As for the special teams, and this is where I was going with Sean McDermott, you lost the game on special teams. Make no mistake about it. 2 big returns in the second half. Denver basically averaged the 50-yard line. Not that they could do much with it for much of the second half, but eventually that broke your back. Obviously, the 12 men on the field was crazy, like insane. Football is a rough business. You know, nobody wants that to happen. But ultimately, on special teams, you lose the game. And the crazy thing was, Denver was trying to give it away on special teams. Like, Denver was trying to give it away. And the funniest fucking thing, not funny, actually, both special teams coordinators highlighted last night in the broadcast, both veterans. It's Veterans Day weekend. And you guys play like this for the veteran special teams coordinators? Both these special teams were trying to give it away. That's managing the team, okay? Now, I know Josh Allen's the reason they lost, but Sean McDermott's on the hot seat, and he probably should be. There's a lot of close games they're losing now.
Do you remember when Joe Brady interviewed for the Falcons job and the Jets job and the Eagles job?
Dude, yeah, I was really excited about Joe Brady for a time. That LSU year was magical.
And then Matt Rule fired him, and then the Bills plucked him.
And who's to say Matt Rule isn't just the hardest guy to work for in the pros? And I don't mean he's a jerk, but I'm saying, like, are you going to have a lot of success there? Did anybody have success in Carolina? I want to give credit to the Broncos, though, before we move on, because we always like go with the lead, which is obviously the Bills losing that game. Nobody expected it, except for maybe us.
Broncos won you pretty nice little parlay.
Kyle
there.
was on it on Monday. Nate was on there anytime.
Steve gave it out as a lock.
Steve gave it out as a lock. Okay, Steve, I hit this one last night. I hit Broncos money line, the under 47.5, Russell Wilson over 1.5 touchdowns for like a nice chunk of change. It was a great night for me, and I want to thank Broncos Country for making that possible.
You're welcome.
And I want to give you guys credit because Sean Payton and Vance Joseph have gone into the phone booth and come out with a change of clothes. I don't think they're looking like Superman, but they're a solid football team. They're 4-5. I think Miami hanging 70 on these guys. We just can't get it out of our heads, and I think it's helped make it easier to bet the Broncos in recent weeks. But I thought Russell was good. They're playing a lot of these third downs in a phone booth because they're focused on third and manageable. I thought he does look lighter. Troy made a great point last night. Like, he looks more elusive. He picked up a couple third downs with his legs.
He leads the league in scramble yards by a quarterback.
He's quietly doing what they're asking him to do. And I just want to say this, Javonte Williams, one of my favorite backs in the league to watch. You got to bring your hard hat with him. I thought they just put together a really good game plan. They figured out who they are. It's the same thing when they play Kansas City. Try to dominate time possession, run the football. We're bigger up front. Miners is a fucking monster. We're built for power, and we're going to make you make mistakes. You know, like dropping a bunch of guys for Russ, dropping a bunch of guys for Josh, and eventually the rock's going to break. We just keep pounding it. It's going to break. I thought this was like to a T what Sean Payton wants his team to look like.
Yeah, 24 completions for not even 200 yards.
Hold on to the ball, Cortland.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that throws on Russ, though. They made a good point. That's an easy first down, but the fumble is on Cortland Sutton.
You said this, maybe Twitter. How about that Buffalo defender reestablishing? I know he wasn't probably thinking I need to reestablish.
I don't know how that happens.
It was crazy.
Right, exactly. Like that ball squirting out in that confined space and Buffalo coming up with it, I thought it was almost impossible.
I thought so too.
But really, like a solid performance from the Broncos, and that's how they want to look. They're physical. And it's the same thing. They got up to the line last night and did a lot of checks. You can see that.
Yeah.
It was really interesting watching the guys from Buffalo like almost sarcastically lean in That must have been a real thing in the meeting room. They're going to get up to the line. They're going to ID you guys. It's what they did to Kansas City. Those guys were all crowded up there. Russ is making his checks. And then they just checked Javonte Williams anyways into a heavy box and gained 6 yards. So hats off to the Broncos. Just want to give you your props.
Bills now plus 165 to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
You could have it.
Yeah, that's not money. I mean,
look at that schedule, man.
The odds aren't long enough.
It's brutal.
A lot of interesting stuff to talk about this week when it comes to NFL gambling. We had a nice weekend as a group, finally catching up to Macon a little bit.
Well,
we're not catching up.
Yeah, you kept pace.
But I think we're like a game back or something. Yeah, you're acting like this is the fucking. I'm trying to think of a division that somebody's running away with. This is the AFC North, buddy. We're just all about 500. I can't wait to talk about this week's slate because it's really interesting. We have 5 games that I counted last night, double-digit lines. So what the fuck are we doing, guys? Take some time as we talk about college football. Get your cards out and think about how you're going to bet this Sunday. We were 6-3 as a unit. We'll talk all about that. Whatever you're looking forward to this football season, there's one thing that pairs well with every great moment, and that is an ice-cold Miller Lite. Whether you're at the stadium playing fantasy football or watching the game at home or at the bar, Miller Lite is here to make your football season taste like Miller time. From kickoff to the clock runs out, you can't go wrong with a Miller Lite in your hand. It's the only light beer with a taste worthy of our national obsession. Because what's the point of having beer if it doesn't taste like beer? I go to Dirty Nelly's every weekend. Sometimes I'm prepping for the show at the bar on Saturday night, watching a little college football, getting ready to lay out our Miller Lite moments. I like to have an ice cold Miller Lite right next to me. And the folks at Dirty Nelly's, they know when I get there to have my ice cold Miller Lite. It's got only 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12-ounce serving with a smooth taste and a crisp, clean finish. You get the taste you crave without the calories. So this season, crack open a light beer that hits your taste buds so hard you feel it in your heart. Make it Miller time all season long. Get Miller Lite delivered right to your door. Visit MillerLite.com/greenlight. Or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs for 12 ounces. We got to get into some college football. The big news this week, Steve, is you're coming to our home state and Duke's not playing.
Sort of. The Dukes.
Yeah, I know. He probably got confused. He was like, "Oh, Duke's playing in Harrisonburg."
You guys been waiting 4 days for that one.
Honestly, I just thought of it.
Hey, I'm going to be honest, too, and sincere. Steve, best thing by far to do in Harrisonburg, Virginia, drive about an hour to the south and the east. You'll find Charlottesville, Virginia, and you'll have yourself a good old time.
Is Harrisonburg where Chris started in the pumpkin?
No. You're confusing that with
Harrisburg.
Milford, Pennsylvania. Actually, there's a few hectares north.
Nice.
Well, we do have a JMU insider.
Yeah,
that
Cowboy
I think,
Reed.
is worth us three could fire some questions at if we're going to make it.
Reed, okay. First question. I asked this earlier. Do you have lights? Because the game's at 2:00. This is a big deal.
Are there lights at your stadium?
We've got big, long poles. I can't confirm if there's bright, shiny things.
So you might have lights.
They might be. I think they're being built right now. That's
game day coming.
They're those ones that they wheel.
Yeah. They got wheels
morning.
at the bottom.
The fucking parking lot lights. No, I don't think that about your school. I think your school is pretty well funded.
Totally kidding.
I thought maybe you just elected not to use the lights this weekend. And then the next question I would have is, who do you play?
Well, we play App State.
Okay, so this is a big one.
And they must be undefeated or
I'm
such.
sure something like that. Yeah.
So this is two big brand.
This is the battle of the Appalachia Mountains here. Very similar schools. They're both tucked in the hill country.
Who's JMU's most famous alum outside James Madison?
I was going to say.
Phil Vassar. Phil Vassar.
Phil Vassar.
This is a Phil Vassar versus Luke Combs game.
Yeah.
Ben DiNucci.
Okay. Oh no, Charles fucking Haley, guys.
Charles Haley. Arthur Motes is up there.
PFT commenter.
Yep. Eric.
Steve Buckhantz.
Who?
Yeah.
Longtime Wizards
DMV.
announcer Steve Buckhands.
Okay. All right, so who's going to win? Give us the breakdown, Cowboy.
Gary Clark?
Gary Clark Jr.?
Nice.
No, Gary Clark, the Redskins.
Ooh,
receiver.
you can't.
No.
You can't say that, Steve.
I was thinking about the guitarist. Anyways, Reed, who's going to win the game?
Well, I mean, we can't go wrong with the Dukes money line. But Jordan McLeod was just named a semifinalist for the Davey O'Brien Award. He's a stud, transfer from Arizona, good quarterback. We've got probably one of the best offensive lines, probably the best offensive line in the Sun Belt.
Oh, I thought you were saying the state.
Thank you for saying that because I was going to ask what conference it is that JMU plays in.
The
Fun Belt.
Yeah, the Fun Belt, the Wild Belt. But App State, they played us really tight last year. We went to the beautiful Appalachian Mountains. I'm always nervous for these kind of games, but our secondary is not the tightest. But these freshmen, D'Angelo Pons has been playing really well.
Yeah.
So look for a pick from Pons. That's my prediction.
Pons pick.
Pons pick.
Anytime Pons pick.
Question for the JMU Insider.
Hit me.
Harder to get into, James Madison or App State?
Oh, well,
Probably
I got
JMU.
into both. So
did you?
look at that.
Flex on him, Cowboy.
Yeah.
Did you visit App State? Did you
I
go on
did.
an unofficial visit
Unofficial
down there?
visit. Yep. They wanted me bad, but I wanted to stay in the Commonwealth.
I bet App State's a lot of fun, but
App State's
Boom.
beautiful.
JMU
It's out there,
I
man.
also hear is a lot of fun. So we might join you in the fun. We might drive.
We'll check
up
out
there
Finnegan's
or
Cove. We'll
over
check
there.
out maybe backcountry.
Yeah,
We'll go
so-
to a couple spots.
So Saturday,
We get Macon out of the house?
No.
I might see you, Steve. I might see you.
And Duke
Is that
actually
might?
is going to be.
Might is
in-
cap, all caps, might.
Might? Yeah, I mean, anytime you
Okay.
got 3 kids is a might.
I got you.
You know?
But I saw how happy you were without those.
Well, I was scouting out. It's
That's
a long.
just because it was your first time in the state of Alabama.
Yeah, it was a long
Yeah.
play. It was
Yeah.
it was really about them. I was
You got
scouting
free
out
tickets.
I was scouting out T-Town for my kids. We were picking
Correct.
out the housing and stuff for 15 years from now.
I just
And I got to go to Happy Valley this past weekend, Steve. We haven't caught up after
3
that.
for 3.
Yeah, so it could be 3 big-time football atmospheres in a row for me. I was on the sideline, got to see Spice Adams. Brandon Graham was down there, Steve, and all his
BG.
Michigan gear. It was cool. I like totally different vibe from T-Town, but a really good vibe in Happy Valley. It's more like Sad Valley this weekend.
Yeah. James
T-Town
Franklin
greater
decided
than?
to go for 2. You know?
James Franklin went on 4th and 6 at the end of the game. I was right there. I was like 30 feet away. I was, maybe not how I would have drawn it up, but they got a hell of a defense, and I got to spend time with Anthony Poindexter, our
Nice.
good friend Dex,
Legend.
who's as good a defensive coach as there is in that conference. His players love him. They got some studs. That number 33 kid, I know I was paying attention to that Chop kid, 44, but 33 can really play, and he looks the part, man.
So can 11.
11 can play too. They got some dogs.
What'd you think of Michigan's defensive line?
Really good. The whole
Yeah.
group. I mean, there were a lot of great defensive players out there this weekend. And I missed in real time because I did hit the exits early. That coach crying over Jim Harbaugh. I missed that thing.
Not great tape for my man.
You think Jim Harbaugh listens to the pod? Because he went on a rant about America's teams today
Yeah.
for like 90 seconds, dude. You would think he listens to the pod. He kind of defined the segment for us. Before we get into
I got a hell of a segue.
okay,
But I don't know if it's where you're going, so I
use
don't
it.
know.
Use it.
Duke, Steve, will be in the Commonwealth on Saturday facing Virginia. Duke
I
is
know.
coached by Mike Elko,
Yep.
and Texas A&M has a vacancy.
Mm-hmm.
That's a segue.
Okay,
Elko
and
came from
so does Mississippi State.
True, but Elko
So does
didn't
Michigan State.
come
No,
from.
I understand, but what's weird, and this is where I was going.
Keep
is
up, guys.
These two teams played each other. The 2 coaches left the stadium,
Yeah.
and they both
Yeah.
got fired. I think it's got to be the first time in the history of college football.
Maybe a season ender.
Maybe a season
Yeah.
ender, but like in the middle of the season,
Yeah.
pretty wild. So, were you shocked by the Jimbo thing?
No. When you look at that school, and I put sort of every one of those schools in Texas in the same category. I shouldn't say that. You're whatever. Your oil money schools that have that, and the deep pockets. To me, what's interesting to me is when you make the decision right now, everything points to you have your guy. But talking to people there that cover the team, they don't believe they do. They just really didn't want him to go to Baton Rouge and beat the Heisman frontrunner and gain back the momentum that they want. So they kind of just cut the legs from underneath the program. But on top of that, they can't handle where they are right now as opposed to where Texas is. They just can't do that. And when I think about it, I compare it to Auburn and Alabama. That's what comes to mind when you talk about the in-state schools and things like that. So I'm sure they have a plan. They have plenty of resources. That's the number one word you hear about when you talk about the A&M job. If people want to rank it, great, go ahead. In my mind, it's not a top 5 job. It's not even a top 3. I should say it's the third best job in that division. Bama and LSU are better jobs than A&M. And when you look at it in its totality, I think about my lifetime. Take what you want with the COVID 2020 year, an Orange Bowl win over North Carolina, and arguing about being in the playoff. I'm sorry, I need more substance than that. And there's just not of eliteness in my lifetime with A&M. Great players, of course. Great fan base, school pride, the whole thing. It's a different place when you go there. So, but they have a plan. But those things when I talk about compounding the decision being made is what's very interesting to me.
Chatwell, in another case of college football players being just regular motherfuckers when it comes to electronics, tweets from his phone, presumably, which shares his location, which is Starkville, Mississippi. And he's supposed to be in Lynchburg, Virginia, and he's in Starkville, Mississippi, and that job's open.
Has he taken that tweet down, by the way? He did take it down?
Of course he took that tweet down, which is an admission of guilt. You could be recruiting, is what I would have done. I would have said, hey, there's a stud down here. I would have offered a 3-star guy to cover my tracks. The next guy's got to worry about it. I'm going to be in Starkville.
Somebody else
just
runs
walk
my
into
Twitter
some high
account.
school in Starkville and be like, hey, you got to come with me.
I will say there's more guys suited right now when you talk about taking the next step for the Mississippi State job than what A&M thinks they are.
But hold on. What about like 4 straight top 10 recruiting classes? I know that can all go away in one offseason now, but the cupboard is stocked at A&M.
Is it?
Seems like it.
I don't know. Don't look at me.
Obviously Jimbo's been stubborn in his ways. He goes to Petrino for the offensive coordinator. He's also gone through so many quarterbacks. And guys, I know it's redundant, but it's so true when you look at these guys that haven't panned out at these big time jobs. When they take that step up and everybody wants to talk about how much money they're making, they've struck out at the quarterback position. It's unbelievable how many people have been tied to that position and that position dictating the success of the team and it not panning out. That's what's just so eye-opening. And, I mean, you see it at the NFL also. But at this level, being dependent on it and with the portal and guys leaving and everything like that, it's crazy to see.
We used to make a big deal about Bobby Bonilla, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Look at this shit. Fucking $70-something million.
Somebody put
One
up,
or two
I
phone
hate,
calls.
Take
I
it.
hate it was eye candy, but this buyout's more than Jameis made in his career.
Wild. At Florida State?
No, not at
Okay,
LSU.
so I want to talk, speaking of Heisman Trophy dudes, let's
Yeah.
talk about this race. Let's have the odds up here. Yeah. It's a weird year, right, Steve?
Very weird.
Very weird. Is there a comp for a year like this that you can remember?
I think the Devontae Smith year is pretty close. because people start deciphering what's the award: best player, most valuable player, most outstanding player, most important player. And when I look at it, I get it. Jaden Daniels has been absolutely phenomenal. But if you're going to say best player, and then you look at the team's success along with that, I still would side with Marvin Harrison Jr. He has been the reason his team is undefeated in the biggest spots. He has come up big, and reason his team has won his games. And then, I hate to say it, but they are undefeated. They have a team that's undefeated, and to me, that weighs more when it's even. When it's even, I'm saying they're just as important to their teams. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is more important. Now people are just going to say, "Oh, put somebody else at quarterback for LSU." I get it. They're not going to be the same team. Jaden Daniels is awesome. I'm not taking anything away. I've said for 3 weeks before the Bama game that Jaden Daniels was the Heisman Trophy front runner. And I wanted to see him go in there and win. I believe I said it on game day. If you thought LSU was going to win that game, just bet Jaden Daniels to win the Heisman. He was 4-1 at that time, and I believe he's right around 4-1 now. Yep. The issue is, if Penix runs the table,
if Penix runs the table, it might be his.
Table, it's crazy. But Jaden Daniels, there's no doubt, should be in New York with a chance to win it.
3 receivers have won the Heisman Trophy: Tim Brown, Desmond Howard, Devontae Smith. Mm-hmm. This is my favorite thing to do. Can I read you the 2020 Heisman voting?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Devontae Smith beat out, in order, Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, Kyle Trask, Najee Harris, Breece Hall, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Ian Book, and Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts, your brother in the 10 spot.
You're right. Yeah, no, I was once a 10 spot guy.
Bet you didn't know that, huh?
A couple people were zagging. They were just like, let me get this 3-4 defensive end from Virginia. Saw him play once on a Thursday night. So it's a weird deal this year. I mean, it's a weird award in general, right? And a year like this really underscores it, because you start looking and you're like, well, I don't know whose team's going to be undefeated.
Yeah, I look at the games now that we have the next 3 weeks. Jaden Daniels is not going to be in the spotlight.
Yep.
I mean, they're out of the race in the SEC West. I look at Penix with a monster spot this week in Corvallis. Harrison's going to – I mean, if Harrison does what he did against Penn State, against Michigan, and they win, come on.
Steve, a step further. New York Giants, if they own the number 1 pick, do you take a quarterback or Marvin Harrison Jr.?
What about Brock Bowers?
Oh, that's funny. Hadn't heard him win the Coughlin Award lately, so I thought he was out of the.
Well, he just came back, and I was on the field. Just a coincidence.
Okay, I don't watch a lot of. I don't watch the SEC till the playoffs. It's kind of like the NBA for me.
Well, you're missing out, because that fiasco with all your Eagles on the sideline Saturday night in Athens.
Yeah,
holy!
They beat the brakes off those guys. I did have one eye on that while I was listening.
Is that a scene?
Dex,
man, that place is crazy.
It was great. It was great. Okay, College Football Playoff Outlook. What do we think? One of our clips. Yeah. Sometimes I forget we even have a TikTok.
Yeah.
One of our clips on
Florida
TikTok went for 1 milli.
What?
Yeah, and I was just cringing because I was like, what did these teenagers hear us say? And
they heard Macon spell Florida.
Quite frankly,
we didn't put in the STATE.
You did.
Well, Florida State.
Okay.
You did.
All right.
And some people seem to disagree in the comments about the Florida State take. I think it's Alabama. But if
I'm just like I'm like a Bayless type, Yeah, I'm not even thinking. I'm just firing.
Just firing.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do we think, Steve?
I also cringed when I saw that.
We don't even have TikTok, but it's terrifying.
Yeah.
The Chinese are like, this guy's an idiot.
But he can spell.
They're calling everybody over to the fucking computers over there. They're like, look at this guy. He looks like the guy in that Steve Carell murderer thing. So what do you think, Steve?
I am going to be surprised if Alabama beats Georgia after watching Georgia in person. It is a team that is as connected as I've seen. They're not as talented as they've been the last 2 years, but man, they rally for each other. And Carson Beck and what he's done and the situation that he's stepped himself into has been phenomenal. And I keep going back to a quote. I think Kirby said Friday on Pat's show, or maybe he said it again on Saturday on game day. And he was asked about players seeking attention these days. And he said, I tell my players I want them to seek contact. And I'm like, that's the greatest quote
they do
ever.
They do seek it.
Oh, man. They're pretty balanced, though, and they're deep, man. They don't have a top 5 pick right now in this draft on the defensive line, but they play great with knowing that their talent is in the back end. And, man, do they run to the football. It's crazy because Ole Miss comes out, Lane, obviously, great game plan. They go right down the field the first 2 drives. 14-14 game, you're like, oh, wow. And Georgia's just sitting there saying, all right, let's get back out in the field. Can we please get back out in the field? That game ends up 52-17. They're just relentless in getting after your ass, and it's so impressive to watch, and it's totally symbolic of their head coach. That's how Kirby goes about things. You talk about people that have seen them practice, about how hard they practice, knowing that their schedule wasn't great at the beginning of the season, ones versus ones for the majority. With that, obviously you get injuries. They have as many injuries as they've ever had in September, and to see where they are, they're peaking at the right time. And normally they're going to Knoxville to play Tennessee. They're a double-digit favorite. Normally I would say give me the points, but after seeing Missouri run the ball and do whatever they wanted against Tennessee, I'm not sure Tennessee's cut out for this. They're gonna need a monster boost from that home crowd and some balls to bounce the right way for them to pull this out, because Georgia is absolutely relentless.
Let me ask you something, Steve, because I want to know if I should really tune into the college football playoffs. Can you make the line between Georgia and Ohio State? Do that one first.
Chris, that's about
10.
a pick.
You really? Okay, then I might be watching this year. Okay.
I think Georgia's going to be given like 6 to Bama.
Okay, how about Georgia and Michigan? Another pick?
No.
No, Georgia's a
Georgia
favorite.
favored.
By how much?
Field goal.
Yeah, more than, I'd say 4.
Okay. How about Georgia and Florida State?
Between 7 and 10.
Yeah.
So it looks like Georgia is dominant, right? But you said it, not as talented in years past. I think this has got to be the most wide open playoff in a while, yeah?
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. That's something to look forward to, because I've lamented this almost every year. Especially the first game of the playoffs, they're all blowouts, or they're all 2-score games. It's just not exciting. So I'm hoping this year we get some parity or something.
Will the Big Ten title game be 40-something to almost nothing again?
Probably.
Yeah.
We know what Steve likes at Neyland. Let's talk about Washington at Oregon State. You alluded to that big matchup. Oregon State laying 2 points at home. 63.5 is the total. You think Penix can pass the test here?
No.
Wow.
I think this playing there, this is like, look at what Washington has up against it. They went to USC. All credit to them. Outscored USC, got through it. Dropped the ball on the 1-yard line, which still drives me nuts, and still get a win against Utah. Don't cover, though. And now you look at what they have going to Corvallis and then playing Wazoo, the 2 teams that are going to be in the Pac-2 or the Tupac, whatever you want to call it. This is Oregon State's Super Bowl. And then you look at Oregon State. They get to play Washington, and then they go to Eugene to play Oregon. It's as hostile, mean, uncomfortable setting you'll get in the Pac-12 for a road game. They're what they want to be. They are absolutely vicious, and Washington's going to get everything thrown at them. And the thing that's different this year is that Oregon State is as capable as they've been in a long time. That run game is serious. I think that's a problem for Washington because now they got to get up 3 straight weeks. I talked about Utah's matchup last week, how they're a physical team. They want to run the football. And then you compound that with what USC wants to do and make you run all over the field. Now you got to do it for a 3rd straight week on the road when a team that just wants to give you everything. Oregon State's favored. I think the writing's on the wall. I think Washington's in trouble here. If Penix goes in there and pulls this out, I think the odds should really shift in his favor for the Heisman because this is as tough in his environment as a quarterback's going to face as a night game in Corvallis.
Is this like Texas Tech of the North?
Yeah, more capability though.
Surface.
Because they do it running the football. You know, how
I just
Texas
mean
Tech,
the atmosphere.
Oh yeah. That's a really good comparison.
Yeah, like you
Really
might get
good.
hit by a battery.
Yeah, and then you got like rain, and it'll be raining sideways. It'll stop. It's. I mean, they are on top of you in this stadium, and it's. They have the ultimate. We were talking about A&M in Texas, and then Auburn and Alabama. Oregon State's the ultimate smaller program in the state, and they thrive on that, especially when Oregon and Washington come to town. So Washington's got their work cut out for them. It's going to take a serious. They have to be better than they were the last 2 weeks.
How about a Pac-12 lock this week? Speaking of Conference of Champions,
How about Oregon State?
Beeves. DJ.
Big beef.
How about an upset special? Anywhere in the world. Anywhere.
I really want to take Stanford, but I can't. I don't see it. We got Stanford, Cal. How about Colorado?
Future
They haven't won in a long time.
A&M head coach Deion Sanders.
What you think Deion's going to jump somewhere? Yeah, I hear a lot of people throwing these scenarios out, and they're all interesting. But what's really going to happen there?
I don't know. I don't know what the motive is there because there's an opportunity for Shador to get drafted really high.
Yeah.
And, it goes back to the Caleb thing about him talking about not being, holding out for teams or I can make as much money in college. There's no way. No, not in the guaranteed world. I know the system changed with top quarterbacks in the draft, but I don't see that. So I'll go Colorado.
Buffs are a 4.5-point dog at Washington State.
And his kids wouldn't be able to play right away if they were to transfer because they've already transferred once, so they would have to sit out. So unlikely, I think, that you would see a move after this season.
All right. STL Memorial lock. Let's get a non-Power 5 lock.
JMU, come on.
Okay, got to give it out. You got to make friends with the people in Harrisonburg.
Is this still?
No, Reed, I did my research. Last time Game Day went, they lost.
Was
we
it a
lost
night?
the first time.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we lost
To Richmond?
Yeah, lost to Richmond in
Okay, sorry, I got
2015,
mixed up.
and then we won the 20. I think the next time it was in town.
So you've had game day
What's
twice?
the weather over there
This
in
is
the
the third
Commonwealth?
time.
This is like, when Alabama has Morehead State, they go to some little podunk town.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, look,
That's
it's North
not nice.
Dakota. I know.
That's not nice.
That's the bit, Steve. I've got nothing but love and respect for my JMU Dukes.
I totally disagree with what you're saying right now because I don't believe a second of it.
They got 3 game days?
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
like, hey,
Anyways.
y'all are 1AA.
Formerly,
Okay.
Hey,
Let's give out some awards. The Timmy Chang Award, which is the award that's
Given to a
bestowed
football
upon a football
player.
man.
weekly.
We're going to do this every week, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's to an FCS player.
Okay.
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 Are you familiar with the Delaware Blue Hens?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, Joe Flacco.
Good call.
Rich Gannon?
Their quarterback, yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. Old Wing T days.
That's right.
Blue Hens quarterback Ryan O'Connor, 19 of 31, 246 yards, 4 tuds. Blue Hens improved to 6-1 in the Colonial. I would think they are going to make the playoffs at an 8-2 record. If we have an FCS insider, I know Reed has graduated to FBS with James Madison going FBS, but I'm pretty sure the Blue Hens will be seen in that big bracket of the FCS playoffs.
How about the Conklin Award, which is formerly given to a tight end, but now it can be given to anybody?
Yeah. Well, I was trying to give love. Shout out to How about Butler giving the pod some shine?
How about Butler throwing
that was
the
a
pod
great
up on their
video they put
social?
out.
Yeah, it really was, man.
They had like the voice tone and everything.
Go
It was
Butler.
good.
Tip of the cap to whoever's running that account.
Butler football. Who on? Cody Schrader, Missouri running back. If you don't know the story, just absolutely phenomenal. I believe he's the first running back in SEC history to go for 200 yards plus on the ground and 100 yards plus in receiving. Just phenomenal. Tennessee is a defense that has not been run on against, and a lot of motivation for Missouri after Tennessee put 60-plus up on them the last 2 years. And shout out to Coach Drink in Missouri. That's a real good turnaround. I would highly suggest Coach Drink for the pod as a guest. He is as charismatic of a guy as there is. Phenomenal. Even Schrader would be awesome. His story is incredible if you look into it. So, Cody Schrader.
Isaiah Simmons Award. This award goes to a guy that's just fucking jacked. I kind of want to give it to Nick Bosa just every week. Dude, you know what's crazy about him? A couple things that's crazy about Nick Bosa. Number one, the guy's built like a G.I. Joe if they use 35% more plastic. Guy's bursting from the seams everywhere. He walks around before the game. I'm convinced it's just to intimidate people. He's out there in barely anything. And every week, my dad just direct messaged me on Instagram because he doesn't like actually, it's not like Howie Long's Instagram. It's just some alias. And he'll DM me stuff every week. And one of the things that he repeatedly DMs me is just footage of Nick Bosa walking around.
That's awesome.
Because that dude is a fucking tank. Now, the second thing about Nick Bosa walking around is turn on the All-22 end zone footage of that D-line and tell me why Chase Young looks so much bigger than this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just fucking crazy. Anyways, I just wanted to point that out. But this award is given to somebody who's just jacked. And when you see him in person, a la Isaiah Simmons, Orange Bowl 2019. Was that 19?
Yeah, it was 19.
What a year that was.
Yep.
I will add on the Chase Young, it's amazing to see how I'm always jealous of men with a lot of hair.
Yeah.
And Chase Young's hair perfectly matches the gold britches of the Niners.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Good look. In the helmet.
Don't like 92.
No, I don't like 92.
92. I just
92 or 72, what's worse?
probably maybe 92. Because 72 it looks like you're not trying. 92 it's like I had my pick of the litter and I went with, the only guy that made that look good is Reggie White.
92 ever?
Reggie White and Strahan.
Yeah.
And Wallace Gilberry.
Okay. Simmons Award, easy. Amarius Mims, tackle for Georgia. First game back in 7 weeks. First guy I saw walking onto the field. I'm like, good Lord, where did he come from? Looked it up. Cochran, Georgia. 6'7", 340, not an ounce of fat. And boy, can he move. An absolute difference maker. You saw it with that run game. Ran behind him a lot against Ole Miss. And he's like, when I talk about Georgia peaking, he's the guy I think that makes them a next level where they get that balance of running and throwing the football. You will see him at early on draft night.
Jesus, man. Some of these guys, they were in
It's
Little League
unbelievable,
5 years
Chris.
ago, and they
In
kicked
a
my
uniform,
ass.
it's like, good Lord.
It's demoralizing. Look at his
It
face.
really is.
It's a kid.
I was just happy when I saw him. Like, there wasn't a mirror where I had to look at myself.
Yeah, geez, this guy's huge. All right, we're
Stud.
done gawking at college football players.
Speak for yourself.
Let's get in.
Got a personal laptop.
You
over
looking
here.
up Sam Hartman? You shouldn't have to worry when you buy tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Yeah, I'm on my Game Time app right now. I'm looking at Virginia Tech tickets. Maybe we'll win one of those at some point. We did it with Bryce Perkins. Anyways, I keep scrolling on the app. I'm going to get tickets to the Commonwealth Cup. Game Time makes it easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area, even last-minute deals. I know because I always wait till the last minute. You can preview the views from all your seats in the venue and Game Time's lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection. Protects my tickets. That's what I need. Game Time is obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. With zone deals, you pick the section and Game Time picks the seats for big-time savings. And the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code GREENLIGHT for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code GREENLIGHT. GREENLIGHT. That's the code for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. NFL locks.
Yeah.
Or NFL suggestions. Because as a group, here's where we are. 14, 14, and 2. Steve, 15, 15. Macon, 16, and 14. Okay? This is not. Who's like the best gambler of all time?
Probably Stanford
Vegas
Steve.
Dave.
This is not Vegas Dave territory this year. Okay? But we're going to push on. Second half's where we make our money. Who's going first? I guess it's the guy with the least wins, even though these fucking pushes. Even though
Yeah, you and Steve are tied, but you have the fewer wins, so I guess you should go first.
Okay. I'm going to go with some really icky plays this week. We're back to the icky plays.
Hey,
Icky.
Dallas minus 16.
I know. Well, no, I wouldn't. Icky is what I'm about to do. I'm about to do something really gross.
Okay.
I'm going to do something grody. Okay, I just got to find it. Damn, that line's moved, huh? It's just Wednesdays or a motherfucker.
Can I vote for what will be America's #1 public play?
Go ahead. Tell us.
Houston, Texas.
I know exactly, and that's why I guess I'll just go with the Arizona Cardinals +4.
It's a good pick. I like the pick.
Yeah,
Nice
and in
pick.
fact, they might win. All I'm saying is Houston super banged up last week. You talk about like a letdown spot, come back home. I don't know. They got through the game, but there's a bunch of guys on the list. This is a spot where nobody watched the Cardinals last week.
Kyler's back.
What's shocking to me is it looks like most of the tickets are on this. So, like, contrary to what you just said, I don't know if you have a place that you access this, but it feels like a lot of people early on were on the Cardinals. Maybe those are just the sharps among us. Cardinals +4.
Nice.
It's a really gross week. 5 double-digit lines.
It's really, really gross. Let's get real gross.
Don't do the thing I want to do.
Give me the Giants +9.5.
Great call, Steve.
I don't know.
Could be a
I'll
great.
take my half right there to 10.
Could be
Is
a
that
great.
right?
I actually have it at 10, Steve, so you're good.
Ooh, okay.
Game
Good.
changer.
Save it.
I'm running this pick to the podium.
Okay.
Miami Dolphins, whatever the number is.
Do you think people are that swayed by what Vegas has
-12.
done the last 2 weeks?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
No.
I have a hard time believing sometimes that people are like, yup. You know?
I honestly think there's people that still just bet Miami blind knowing that they had them when they scored 7.
Exactly. That's what I said about the
I
Broncos.
really do.
It's like that game that just won't get out of your head. Okay, my next pick, let's stick with the ickies. The sticky ickies. Okay?
Easy. I got one.
Chicago. Okay? I like these division dogs catching double-digit points late in the season.
Maybe Justin Fields will be at quarterback.
Maybe Justin Fields will be back. I don't know. They just went out west, and that was a slugfest. Now, I have every reason to believe Dan Campbell's going to have these guys ready to play. They're going to win this game by 9. But this is a spot where maybe the Bears could backdoor cover this thing.
Bears +10. All right, Steve.
I'm taking it because I love taking them every week. Eagles +3.
God darn it.
That might be a good spot for that half point.
That's a really good
We'll see.
pick.
We'll see. Early candidate.
It's like I forget to give out the Eagles because it's automatic. I'm going to bet them.
I think if you guys go back, I've had them every week
You
they
really
played.
have.
They are profitable.
All right. My turn to wade into the icky waters.
Don't do it.
Taking the Carolina Panthers.
Okay.
Oh,
At home, plus 10.5 points against the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, and I'm running this pick to the podium. The Jacksonville Jaguars, minus 6.5. I'm going to give you my half point right now. I'll take the Bears. No, I'll take the Cardinals.
Yeah, you should take your half point on lower spreads
Yeah,
mathematically.
yeah, it's more important.
all right. So who are your three?
So I got the Cardinals plus 4.5, the Bears plus 10, and the Jags minus 6.5.
If the Chargers played the Bills in Charlottesville, who wins?
The Bills.
Okay.
They would have a packed stadium. There'd be no Chargers fans there.
Exactly. It'd be a home game.
Dude, I was asking people where they drove from to go to that game last night. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's wild. And that drive home has to be.
Oof. Wow, am I going to take it's overreaction to Monday night. Can't do that.
No,
I'll take the
I do
Niners.
like that, though. I like the
I'll take
Broncos.
the Niners.
You take the Niners. Okay.
Yep. 11?
11.5.
11.5.
I guess. Oh, yeah. Use my half on the second one.
Okay.
Okay, so he's taking the Eagles plus 3.5. That's where he's buying his half point. I cannot wait to hear this third pick make. He's in Ickyville.
Well, I'm going to go back. I'm out of it.
Okay. Can I guess?
Sure.
Okay. I think you're going to take. Would you consider the Buffalo Bills icky? You're not. Gonna
No,
take the
I would
Bills.
not.
Gosh, you know what? I'm not really sure what you're going to do. I think you might take the Chargers.
Nope.
Okay.
Here's what I've decided to do. I have a short list of teams that I like, and then I've decided when I'm in here in the room, I'm going to hear what's being picked. I'm going to think. I'm going to pivot. I'm going to be nimble, kind of like last week with Dallas Cowboys minus 16.
Is this the first time you've ever used you and nimble in a sentence?
Nope.
Nimbly bimbly.
And there is precedent, though, for what I'm about to do, and that is a 3-point spread opposite my competitor, Stanford Steve. I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday night by the half point to minus 2.5.
Oh, the intrigue, the drama.
So we're in the same scenario as Niners-Jags.
Niners,
We
Jags.
both can win.
That's right.
I'm with Steve on this one.
Chris, I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
First time to Arrowhead. I'll be there Monday night.
Yeah, pretty amazing, dude. You've never been there?
No.
It feels like.
Hold 1 second.
Yeah.
Is it as close to a college game as it gets in the NFL?
Yes. Buffalo's up there, but the stadium's not as, I don't know, ancient feeling.
I still can't believe the wind in Buffalo.
It's
Good
it's
Lord.
just, you know, that retro George Jetson like Chiefs looking sign. You walk in there, everybody has retro starter jackets on.
Love it.
The
I had
red and
I had the
yellow.
first starter. Chiefs. Derek Thomas was my guy.
DT, it's amazing, dude. It's an amazing experience. I got to go there and play in the preseason a couple times when I was in the league. The thing I'll never forget about this place is we had a lightning delay in the preseason. Nothing worse than that. You're going to be there like 3 more hours. We had to stay in that little cramped locker room. They've got these tiny wooden stools with the Chiefs logos like burnt into them, and there's about 100 heads in a room about the size of this room. So it's cramped. It's old. It's one of the few holdovers from that era with all the
One
Cali
tunnel,
stadiums
too.
going away. One tunnel. It's really
Crazy.
cool. It's really cool.
I DM'd Travis. I said I'll see you on the field Monday night. Shocker. I haven't heard back,
He hadn't
but
hit you
it could be breaking news on the pod. I don't know if he's gonna be there.
Really?
Just kidding.
Oh,
Well, you wouldn't have picked the Chiefs.
golly day. I picked the
You
Chiefs.
picked the Chiefs.
I
Yo,
was-
okay.
I was-
Well, he wouldn't have picked the Eagles. No, he picked the Eagles. I'm confused.
I just want to see Jason Kelsey film as a running back. That's all I want to watch.
Jason Kelsey film doing almost anything.
Yeah.
Hey, here's The thing I'd like to see on film, Jason Kelsey, he told this story in the pod once where he was on like a party yacht on like some lake, maybe it was like the one near Cleveland, and he fell off the boat and he got like trapped, the rope tied around his ankle, and he went out there to take a shit in the water, I guess. Am I butchering this story, Reed?
No. He poops in the water.
So
he didn't take a lake dump.
He tied himself up so that just in case the boat left, he wouldn't get left behind. Well, the boat left, so he's taking a deuce in the lake, and it's like full speed ahead. He's tied to the back of this boat. His life is a movie, dude. He got sexiest man alive, #2, despite that. I mean, the guy's incredible.
Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer, for sure. Hall of Fame person.
Who was in that apartment when you were with the Eagles and you guys did Part of My Take?
Oh, I don't even remember. Who was in there with me? It was Jason. It was Jason,
Yeah,
me,
you, Jason, and Lane?
and Lane. After a game, I guess we were going to get drunk, and first we had to do a podcast, but those were the days. I was with those guys this morning. I got to see Lane, the whole crew. I got to see Big Dom.
That's awesome.
Anyways, here's the deal.
Big Dom wears glasses now.
Big Dom is the coolest guy on the East Coast.
That city.
He runs that city. He's got his own highlight videos. What other security guard do you know they set you to music just walking on the field?
No.
I mean, he's got a presence about him. The Rick James aura. Let's go through this slate as a whole. Okay, Bengals, Ravens. I am apt to bet the Ravens. You guys have it here at 4. I've seen it at 3.5. This is a classic by the half point. Take the Ravens, in my opinion. If the Bengals don't have Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard, they're not going to win this game.
You're right.
The Ravens are going to win this game. I wish I could go back and pick it. I'm not going to do it, but take the Ravens minus 3.5 if you can get them, by the half point if you can. I just like the Ravens in the spot. It's bounce back for both teams, but I think the Ravens are just more physical right now. Steelers, Browns. Where do you lean on that, Meg? Thursday night. Fuck, I already told you we're doing Thursday Night Time Machine.
It's okay.
You're going to fucking, here we go.
I lean Steelers.
Yeah.
Steelers. It's the division, and 4 points is typically too many points in this division.
Yep.
I don't know. It's a zag on the Browns win, which, by the way, no one has congratulated me on. And Kyle hasn't paid me my $300.
Well, to be fair, you shook on a money line bet and then you wanted 6 points.
True, which I wasn't given. I wasn't given the 6 points. Kyle, to his credit, called me right after the game ended. Said
He gave you your money?
no, but he acknowledged
Venmo?
that he was going to give me the
Cash
money.
App?
He said it was going to be cash.
Okay.
Cash App.
Cash App. We don't do
got it.
Venmo. We do Cash App.
There you go.
I agree with you. Steelers in this spot. 36.5 on the total as it shows right now. If you get it at 37 or 37.5 if you want to buy up, I mean, that key number there has been good to your boy this year. In a Steelers-Browns game, I feel like this is a decent place to be. Bears-Lions, I told you where I lean there. The total's 47. If I had a lean, I'd go over. Cowboys-Panthers.
Just seems like a sleepy spot for the Cowboys.
Yeah, it does. It really does. I don't hate the pick at all. 42 is the total. I'm not touching that total. I have no idea. Cards-Texans, I told you what I think. Raiders-Dolphins, we've got a pick in there. Steve, do you happen to be on the other side of that?
Of
Raiders-Dolphins.
I like the over.
Chargers.
And then not because Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah, no. Chargers.
There'll be some. They'll get some stuff.
Maybe Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
Chargers.
I do love the Dolphins D line though.
Chargers-Packers is an interesting one.
Chargers win. They go to the playoffs.
He pointed at the camera for the people at home. He's like shooting a wrestling promo.
No one's watching.
Yeah, well, hey, to be fair, we have a growing YouTube community, but
I'm just saying that's Scott and I.
Scott and you, nobody's watching. Nobody's
No one's
watching. But Chargers, Packers. What do you think? Packers catching 3 at home. Chargers win if they go to the play, or Chargers go to the playoffs if they win. Per Steve.
Why did nobody take the Chargers -3?
I don't know. We should have.
I think I had the Packers the majority of the weeks to start the season. I said this was my last stand when they didn't cover, and then I went against them last week and won. So, the Chargers were on the list. Like the Chargers last week against Detroit. They play well enough to win, and they can't win.
Yeah, but you know what? They kind of got let off the hook in the first quarter. Detroit was bludgeoning them. I don't know what to make of that game. Seahawks Rams, another interesting one, is basically a pick 'em. The Rams are favored at home. I don't think a lot of people are going to be on the Rams. I don't know for sure. Stafford's coming back. If I had to, I might bet the Rams in this scenario.
Really?
Yeah. Why is that line the way it is?
Seattle now favored by a point.
Seattle favored by a point. So if you go from a dog to a favorite, not a good sign in the NFL.
Correct.
Okay?
I'm dying on the hill that the Seahawks are a very good team.
I'm dying on the hill that, hey, on my hill, you got to convert third down and execute in the red zone.
And you know what? You've been up way more hills than me.
No, it's just a hill. That's a hill that I'm willing to climb, is that the
Okay.
Seahawks are a good football team, but until they do that, I can't trust them, and I'm more apt to bet the other side. Jets, Bills, it is so gross to me, but I will definitely end up 425 teasing the Bills with somebody, even though they're burning people on teasers left and right, New England, Denver. This is a tailor-made situation where Josh throws 3 picks. Nobody's going to be on the Bills. Or is anybody going to be on the Bills? I can't decide who anybody's going to be on.
I think so.
You think everybody's going to be on the Bills?
Yep. Last stand.
Why don't you tease those?
How many last stands do they get?
Why don't you tease the?
This is it.
General
I
Custer
didn't give
died.
the Bills last stand at all.
Custer just died. They didn't give him another last stand. Somebody at home's like, I've read it.
This is Buffalo.
Okay.
Tell me why
I
you
walked
wouldn't
in-
tease the Jags and the Bills.
That's a great teaser right there.
Ooh.
The only reason why I might, because
Jags and the Bills.
you get a little action on the Jags and the 1 p.m.s, so
Yeah.
you feel like you won a bet, even though you didn't. It's a good feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just sit back and watch the 4 p.m.s. I like that. Vikings, Broncos. Now this, and maybe you guys can help me here. I got the Vikings under win total, as you know, annually. Yeah. It's been good to me. But now I feel like I'm on the wrong side of it. I went and I found a live win total of 8.5 currently. So what I could do, and there's a little bit of juice here, juice being, you lose this bet, it's minus 160 for people at home. It's to entice you to take the other side of it because they think it's probably likely if the Vikings go over or they're balancing money on one side of it. I think I can get out of this thing like scot-free or maybe a little bit on the plus side and just root for the Vikings now. I've never actually tried to cover my tracks on a win total, but I might do it for Josh Dobbs. Would you guys do it?
Broncos, Bears, Raiders, the next 3.
I know. If it's going to be over, it's going to be over fast.
You got to hedge. You get to root for Dobbs that way. It's
Exactly.
so much fun.
Exactly. And
But hey.
if they go under, it's fine.
Yeah.
Those hoes playing with a lot of confidence.
The hose?
Broncos.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they are. And that's my point. In this spot here, as bad as I want to turn this thing around, I feel like this might be a Broncos spot.
Mm-hmm.
The physicality on this team.
Do you know the last time you used that sentence?
What?
You said, I think this might be a Tampa Bay spot last week. You were correct.
I was right about Tampa Bay. So maybe I just do it again.
Yep.
But maybe I also buy the win total and wait for them to lose and then buy the win total at a lower number. What do you think?
Maybe some people say cucumbers taste better pickled.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
And then Monday night we got Eagles Chiefs.
Cannot wait.
Guys, happy hunting. This is a weird weekend. We're gonna either look really good or really bad. 2 of us. One of us is just gonna keep winning.
Yep.
I wish you guys luck.
Shout
out to Brian Branch.
The Branch.
Steve, take care. We'll see you in Harrisonburg.
We might see you, Steve.
I know you're out.
Yeah, he's out.
I still love you though.
Love you.
Take care.
Bye, guys.